Hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in. It's another Tuesday night, and we are here to talk about some really. Can you hear me? Kamisha, can you hear me? Uh-oh. I don't think she can hear me. But anyway, we're here tonight. We have some really good topic that we're going to be discussing. But first, of course, we have to do a little housekeeping. If this is your first time tuning in, this is the Ladies Lounge. My name is Wonder Lowe, and I'm the host. Been doing this about a little bit over 2 years now. So we talk about things that empower, encourage, and um, educate women on living their best lives. So we're glad that you tuned in tonight. I want to start off first of all giving a little bit of tribute. We lost some greats this past week. I think everybody knows by now that one of our favorite actors passed away this week, and that's Chadwick Boseman at 43 from complications due to colon cancer. So, uh, all of us, if you've ever seen the movie Black Panther, I think that everybody probably is a fan of the movie. You're a fan of Chadwick Boseman. He has had some amazing roles over the last couple of years, and I've enjoyed watching him as just about everybody. James Brown, Jackie Robinson, King T'Challa. So if you watch those movies, then you know who I'm talking about. So this week we lost him at 43 now. Notice the age, very young age at 43 to colon cancer. So that tells us that we need to start getting our screenings and we need to take our health just a little bit more seriously. Another legendary personnel, ladies, we might not know who this is, but trust me when you say his name, every guy that's around you will know who these next two are. Matter of fact, everybody will know who Georgetown basketball great coach was, and that was Coach John Thompson. Now, I can actually remember watching him coach Georgetown some years ago. So we know that he passed away this past week at 78. And this last one, again, ladies, we may not know who he is, but the guys will. And that's former Portland Trailblazer, UConn star Clifford Robinson, and he passed away at 53. So for the last two, Coach Thompson and for Clifford Robinson, I don't know what the cause of death was, but we do know that King T'Challa or Chadwick Boseman passed away from colon cancer. September is prostate cancer awareness month for men. And although he passed away from colon cancer, and I encourage you to get your testing done, I also encourage you, if there's a man in your life, whoever, ladies, husbands, sons, fathers, grandfathers, uncles, cousins, I encourage you to tell them about getting checked for prostate cancer also. So we don't want to lose anybody earlier than we have to. If we can find it early enough and get it diagnosed, then there's treatments out there. The survival rate is very high, but we want to make sure that we're doing our part by getting those screenings done. So I want to get that out of the way first because, I am a huge Chadwick Boseman fan. I'm also a huge fan of Coach Thompson, and I did watch Clifford Robinson play. But I think with Chadwick Boseman's passing, and especially from colon cancer, and at his age, and the fact that he was diagnosed 4 years prior, and he kept that was a secret, and it was his right to keep that secret. I think that one was more of a surprise than anything because, I'm looking for a sequel of Black Panther, and I know there'll be one. It just won't be with him. So for all you Black Panther fans, for all you Chadwick Boseman fans, all you King T'Challa fans, Wakanda forever. So, and I'll start talking about it because I'll start crying because it's sad. But at the same time, we're grateful for the great movies that he gave to us. We're grateful for his body of work. And we want to make sure that we keep all three of those families in prayer because losing someone privately is bad enough. They're losing their loved ones on a huge stage where the whole world is watching and they're having to grieve with people looking at them. So make sure that we say a special prayer for the Boseman family, for the Thompson family, and for the Robinson family. Now, y'all saw a guest at the beginning of the show. I think something happened and she got knocked off. So hopefully she'll be back in just a few seconds. But what I will say is this. I hadn't asked y'all in a while, so let me ask this. How is everybody doing? We're still in the midst of a pandemic. We're in the midst of, I think I read something earlier about the summer of unrest. There's protesting going on, there's rioting, there's all these other things going on. We're in the midst of a presidential election year. So we're seeing a lot of conflicting messages. I read an article today about the president. I'm being nice, y'all. I'm trying my best to be nice about the president and about the violence that's happening in Portland and how he responded to it. Now, we all know that his response is probably not the response of a normal person. And for anybody to go to what we would call a peaceful protest and end up being murdered, and it was two separate situations, but end up being murdered, is not at all in what either of those people intended to happen at the beginning of the day. So we want to make sure that we keep those families in prayer also. We want to pray for the families that are going through dealing with the police brutality. We want to pray for the person dealing with it. We want to pray for each other. And I say this because even though this is my show and I could pretty much say what I want to say, I still want to be responsible and I still want to be careful with giving my opinions on things. So just know that anything that you hear on this show is always going to be our opinion. It doesn't mean that you have to go out and believe it or repeat it or it's in stone. It's just my opinion or my belief. And I say that same thing for my guests. So having said that, again, if this is your first time tuning in, this is the Ladies Lounge. My name is Wonder Lowe and I'm the host. If you have not liked our page, please go over to our Facebook page and everything has the same name. It'll say the Ladies Lounge Wonder Lowe. But like us on Facebook, like us on Instagram, and subscribe on our YouTube channel because I need subscribers. And I want you all to watch the videos. If you haven't watched some of my past shows, please go back on the Facebook page. I have all of the videos. Matter of fact, in order of how they've been done. And there's my guest. She made it back in. Hey, Kimesha. Uh-oh. Can you hear me? You back?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So, yeah, if you haven't watched the old video, go back and watch
I'm back.
All right. I'm glad because I was getting nervous there for a minute. I was like, I don't want to do this by myself. But go over to the page and watch the videos. Last week's guest was realtor Anika Dixon, and she talked about getting financially fit for home ownership. And I think the week before that, we had on a Sophisticated Press, and she is boosting authors right now. Man, she has a special going on. If you can go and visit her page, and she'll tell you more about it. If you're in the mood to write a book, because remember we talked about pandemic writing, make sure that you visit Sophisticated Press's page and get information on the special she's running for the pandemic. Now, I said all of that to say again, welcome to tonight's show. We are going to talk about a subject that is, lost again. I'll go ahead and do the intro anyway. We're going to talk about a subject that is like near and dear to my heart. And I say that because we all need to have be healthy in this particular area. And that area is our self-esteem. I will be honest and tell people this. I've struggled with self-esteem for many, many, many years. As a little kid, I was that skinny little girl that looked like a Q-tip. And I got teased for being too skinny. I got teased for being smart, oddly enough. I was a straight A student in school, and I got teased for that. I got teased for a lot of different things. You know, this thing right here, because it was a little larger than most people. And then as I got older, I got teased for having big feet. So for a woman, I do have big feet. But I'd rather have big ones than none at all. So, oh well. But we are, I think all of us at some point in our life go through little situations, especially if you were in school and you were bullied or you had an unhealthy family life where people called you different names or said different things for you, and it affected your self-esteem. It affected how you saw you. So tonight, what we're going to be talking about is building healthy self-esteem. And the young lady who is my guest, hopefully she'll pop back on there. If she doesn't, and something happens and we have technical difficulties, then we'll just rebroadcast this particular show at a different time. And I'll make sure that I post and let everybody know that. But hopefully she'll be back on in just a couple of seconds. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. And hopefully by the time I finish reading, she'll magically appear. So y'all know I had to put my eyeglasses on because I printed this a little too small. But anyway, so tonight's guest is Kimesha Coleman. Kimesha is an award-winning self-esteem enhancement expert expert, an uncommon mentor who specializes in helping abused teens and women as they walk through their own pains. Kimesha is a survivor and tells of her cycle of abuse in her latest book, Pretty On, Pretty Off, which demonstrates the harrowing encounters with toxic relationships, the crippling aftermath, and growing through pains which led her to victory. In the past, Kimesha has served as co-chair of the DeSoto Domestic Violence Advisory Commission, co-hosted the lifestyle segment for the Cynthia Austin Show at KTXD TV, worked with many disadvantaged groups, and mentor for those experiencing challenging life issues. She has since developed her expertise around self-esteem and now works as a motivational speaker and a certified results coach at coachingbyKimesha.com. Kimesha also serves as the Dallas chapter coordinator for crime survivors for safety and justice. And there she is again. Okay. I'm reading your bio right now. I'm at the last little part. Kimesha also serves as the Dallas chapter coordinator for crime survivors for safety and justice, a national network of 25,000 crime survivors creating healing communities, elevating voices, and advocating for smarter public policies. So, can you hear me? Uh-oh, wait a minute. Uh-oh, I can't unmute you. Unmute your mic. Y'all, I tell you. Oh,
Can you hear
there
me?
we go. Yes, I can.
Okay.
You know what?
I had to log in on my cell phone. It's raining really bad here in Texas.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we're thundering right now, so I understand. Well, I'm glad that you can get back home. Hopefully, we're going to get through this storm and we're going to be able to have our discussion before everything starts going out again because our lights have been off. I think we blinked off twice today. So
Wow.
I was actually a little bit nervous about whether or not we'd even be able to get on tonight, but I'm glad that you were able to get signed on. So we're going to do the best we can in as much time as we can before whatever happens. Can. All right. We introduced you. I read your bio. And as soon as you get settled, can you just give us a little bit more information about yourself?
Okay. Like you said, my name is Kimesha Coleman. I am a self-esteem enhancement expert, also a motivational speaker, and a results coach. I help women who may be suffering with low self-esteem, who tend to put themselves last on the list, get clarity around their relationships, career, and their business. So there's just a little bit about my background and what I do.
Okay. Now, let's see. Let's go ahead. We'll just jump right into our discussion questions. I want to ask you, and I said a little bit of this in your bio, but how did you come to start doing this type of work? Uh-oh. Did you freeze? Y'all, technology can be the best thing ever, and then you know what? This is what it is.
Started doing this.
Huh? Just barely.
Just
Something keeps
barely.
us. Sounds like it. Yeah, now I can hear you. You're clear.
Okay.
All right. Can you still hear me? Uh-oh.
Wonder if.
Okay, you're fading out on me.
So, I am a yes. How's the sound?
Okay, I don't know what's happening right now.
No, maybe. Violence and teen dating violence. And it's through my own healing that I really found this purpose and wanted to help others who may be seeking the same answers that I was seeking out of life, trying to find that healing, seeking the answers of, why did this happen to me? Why do I feel the way do I feel? How do I get over this? Because a lot of times we go through life, and I know from my own personal experience, People just tell you to get over it. Well, how do you do that? How do you just get over um, being molested? How do you just get over being abused and pistol whipped and taken to graveyards? How do you just get over that?
Mhm.
And so it was through my own journey that I decided to help other women to actually heal and to get over it, and put the past in the past. Uh, just doing a lot of research on relationships, abuse, what love really is, and
Mhm.
how the family dynamics plays a part in the abuse, because usually abuse happens by someone or molestation happens by someone. And this
Mhm.
is what I was finding with my clients, that they had been abused by someone or raped or assaulted by someone that they knew and trusted.
Mhm.
And so it brought me into the line of work knowing that all the women in my family had been abused in some type of way. So this was a generational thing. And the more I talked to my friends, I found out they were molested, had been raped, and had been victims of domestic violence. And so it was
Mhm.
everywhere, but no one was talking about it, right? We were just pretending, we were just putting on these smiles, pretending that we were happy and really miserable on the
Mhm.
inside. Uh,
Mhm.
so just through that journey and getting to know God, getting to know myself and who I was as a woman, as a Black woman, uh, and learning what love is and what is not, okay? And who I am as a person. And this is what I uh, walk through the process with my clients, getting to know who
Mhm.
you are.
That is huge, and I think I probably have shared this story before in another show about speaking at and like I was doing a financial education training one time, and I think it was about 30 women in the room, and I said something about you deserve better, and I was just giving, talking about financial things, but I made the comment of we all deserve better. You deserve to have nice things. You deserve to have something better in your life or whatever. And this young lady down front just broke down and started crying, and I got nervous because I thought I said something that may have offended her. And I just stopped what I was doing, and then we stopped the whole meeting. And I said, "Okay, what's going on? Why did you break down and start crying?" Well, she started telling me about being pistol whipped and being raped and molested. She had been raped by um, a previous acquaintance, and she'd been molested by someone in a couple of people in her family. She had been beaten. She had been left for dead a couple of times. She had been through a just horrible experiences. And in a matter of, I'm gonna say about 10 minutes, 30 women in that room went, "Me too."
Yep.
And it amazed me because it was all Black women, and every single Black woman in the room, and I will say, we had one Black man in the room. He even said, "Me too."
Yep.
So,
Mm-hmm.
for you
Mm-hmm.
to say what you're saying and saying that you're that generational thing in your family, it happens. It happens. So it's so rampant. Um, I think amongst people we know that you don't get to know it. And that was just one of those instances that everybody was open and said something. But like you said too, we walk around with these faces on that don't look like anything is wrong with us.
Right.
You hit on something. Talk about what love is not. Because we fantasize
Love is
about love,
not
but talk about what is not.
right. So coming from a place of being violated and not feeling like your body is your own,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you come from a place of over giving, over compromising, going against your instinct, especially in an intimate relationship, for example. Uh, there is no boundaries, even if you want to say no, you don't say no because you fear of losing this person, even though if the relationship turns unhealthy or toxic, you are so you want to be loved so badly
Mm-hmm.
that you would take those crumbs. So love is not uh, self-sacrificing. You don't have to self-sacrifice yourself in order to uh, feel love, and usually you're giving out all the love, and you're giving crumbs, receiving
Mhm.
crumbs, just droplets of stuff here and there. Um, that's not love. Love is not uncomfortable, right? So you're in
Mhm.
a situation, you're in a relationship, and this person is making you feel uncomfortable. That's not love. Love is not. Uh oh,
Oh,
we
I
got
hear
the
the
woman.
weather alert. Yeah.
Okay, well we're gonna keep on going till they cut us off.
Exactly. I don't know which hurricane this is this time. Whatever's going on.
But love is not. Um, it's not. Like I said, self-sacrificing.
Mhm.
It's not uncomfortable. It's not. You shouldn't be 90% of the time unhappy. Love
Mhm.
it makes you feel good. It
Mhm.
makes you feel, excited. It makes you comfortable. Being yourself should be okay. So if you're in a situation where you can't be yourself, you're not in a place of love. You're in something else. Love is not what is that? Fear.
Mhm.
If you feel
Mhm.
fear, the fear of losing that person, a fear of not being good enough, fear of you need to do more, you need to prove yourself. That's not love. That's
Mhm.
something else.
Okay. I think as mothers and as women, that's the thing that we need to really teach our daughters. Now, first we
Mm-hmm.
have to learn it, of course, too, but I
Exactly.
think we definitely have to pass that on to our daughters because you look at how many teenage girls are in abusive relationships and you hear
Mm-hmm.
them say stuff like, well, he wouldn't act like that if he didn't love me, or they accept the jealousy and the abuse and the other belittling and all those things because they think, hey, he has to love me in order, because he hit me or because of how he talks to me. So let's
Right.
talk about what are some of the tips that we as mothers and as just women that we can give younger women to let them know this might not be what you think it is.
Some of the tips, like I said, there is the possession, the
Mhm.
jealousy, uh, you know, the constant calling and checking up on you. The abuse it doesn't start off with a punch. It starts off with something subtle. It may
Mhm.
be a push. It may be a shove. With mine, I was in a teen violence as well, and he started off with just twisting my wrist, but he did it so
Mhm.
much to where I can barely hold my own plate of food. That's how
Wow.
bad my wrist hurt, and from there it just escalated. So it's the really simple, subtle things that you may partake as being cute. Oh, he must really want me,
Mhm.
or he must really care about me. No, it's not protection. That's possession. That's not protection. Pushing
Mhm.
you or shoving you or snatching your cell phone. That's not protection. That's jealousy. That's
Mhm.
anger. That's showing rage. So it's those small things that we need to look for ahead of time because it's only going to escalate the longer you stay in the relationship. Because once you comply,
Mhm.
because I say it takes two people, right? That's my calendar.
Mhm.
You got the victim in the. You can't be a victim without the abuser. In
Mhm.
order for you to become a victim, you have to comply with the victimization, right? And he's going to or she's going to test you, and you need to be looking for the signs. That push, that shove, when he
Yep.
yells and cusses you out, snatches your cell phone. These are the subtle signs that something is coming ahead. So don't pass the test. Flunk that test. Don't pass the test.
I said that's the only time we're going to encourage you to not pass
Yes,
something.
flunk the test. That
But
means cut it off. That means no, I'm not going for this. You
mhm.
know, yeah, don't pass the test.
Mhm. And I guess that's much like the signs of somebody being groomed to be abused. Also,
Mm-hmm,
is that it starts
mm-hmm,
off very small, it starts off very subtle with
mm-hmm.
suggestions. Um, Growing up, I had a friend, and I ain't gonna say no, I won't ever tell names. But the guy she dated consistently targeted her look.
Mm-hmm.
There could be 5 other girls around, but he would always go, well, you don't look as good as they look. And it just started off with little remarks like that. And he finally broke down and was crying one day. And I'm like, okay, first of all, he does not have room to talk about anybody's looks. Second, why do you keep taking that? Why do you just keep letting him say stuff in the end? And she, well, I like him and he likes me. And it got progressively worse to where he would insult her in front of anybody. And he started snapping on her and doing little things. And she finally, after about a year and a half, she finally kind of broke away from him. But the damage was already done. Because after that, her self-esteem was really low. And she thought that was what she deserved. So guess what happens then? You date the next jerk.
Yep.
It just keeps going.
And that's why it's important to get your healing.
Mm-hmm. So talk about that just a little bit, about the healing part of it.
A lot of us don't want to go through the healing because in the healing process, you have to go back and look at those pains. And we don't want to experience that. But on the flip side of that, because you haven't stopped to heal yourself, you keep experiencing those same pains with just different people. It's the same pain. You just keep giving it to yourself. And the pain is not fun. But I'm telling you, once you go through the process, oh my God, you're talking about peace. You're talking about some joy. You're talking about a release, a revelation. This is what's waiting for you. But you have to face the pain. You have to go through the process. We want to skip and jump over things. You can't skip over the process. You can't rush the process because in the process, you're learning about yourself. You're learning about the do's and the don'ts, what you did wrong. You get to look at those signs that you missed, right? And there's some guilt and shame, and that's okay. That's expected. But in the process, again, releasing the guilt and shame. You didn't see it. You didn't know. Now you know. Now you know what to look for. But it's starting that process and going through it, and going through your healing and getting to know yourself and, and facing the fact sometimes even our parents failed us. And that's some of the hardest things that some of my clients, your parents failed you, pretty much it. They failed. They failed to protect you. They failed to cultivate you, with your self-esteem. Some parents are very emotional and mentally, verbally abusive, if not physically abusive. So, and who wants to hear that? It's safer to say that, oh, my life is okay, and tell yourself the lie. It's safe over there. But in order to get your healing, you need to come on the other side. And you can still love those people or whatever you choose to do. But I'm telling you, the peace and the joy is priceless.
Wow. I tell folks all the time, you can love anybody. Some folks you can love up close, and some folks you got to love from afar.
From bye.
If distance means that I have peace and that I'm safe, then distance is what it is. And I think let's talk a little bit about, just some of the things you hit on: parents being abusive and verbally being abusive, and really not emotionally being present, because you have some parents that you live in the same house with your kids, but that don't mean you're raising your kids. Does that make sense?
It makes a whole lot of sense.
So let's talk about what effect that has on, particularly, and I want to make sure that we say it for girls and boys, but particularly about girls. What effect does that have on a young lady as she's growing up when there's nobody there to kind of teach her how to become a young lady?
Right. So I can say that coming from, I'm going to say is dysfunction, meaning that something happened with those parents. They didn't get the proper parenting themselves. They may have been abused or whatever themselves. And you cannot give what you do not have. Right?
That's true.
You cannot give it. So in an excuse you can use so far, because everything, you can learn things and you can unlearn some things, but you have to want to do that, right? And that's what I did with my abuse. I wanted to know what it was, what I needed to do to change it, so I can give my kids something different, right? Stopping the generational curse and really learning how to love, and just having a conversation with your children, with your little girl, about their body. And that should start as young, I don't care, 1 year old. If they can comprehend, start talking about your body, because they need to know that their body is their body. I don't care who it is, if it's a doctor, somebody come in a white robe or whatever, that doesn't give them the okay to do things to you, So just having those conversations every year, asking them, when you pick them up from school, how was your day? And a lot of times we're not talking to our kids, but it's those small things that you can do to let them know, I care about you. I want to know what's going on with you. Not cussing them out, not putting them on punishment every time you see something that's out of order. This is the time to have a conversation and to do some teaching and some training. Again, you can't give what you do not have. So therefore, mom and daddy need to do their own research, do get their own knowledge, so you can give that to your children. That's a gift. That's protection. Even if something was to happen, baby, you were a step ahead of the game. You knew that you can come to me, that I'm going to protect you. No, you can't spend the night over everybody's house. Why? Because I don't know what's going on over everybody's house. Right. And you think it's okay, but some things, it may look good on the outside, but you really don't know what's going on the inside. So having those conversations, not just that, even by relationships. I started to talk with my daughter around 12 years old. What is a relationship? What you should expect, right? And giving her the okay to have male friends, because to teach her how to interact with men. You don't have to be so super excited. Oh, a boy, talk to me, and lose your mind, right? To get her comfortable in teaching her that you are who you are all by yourself. Because sometimes once a boy comes in a picture, the little girl loses her mind. They don't know. They stop hearing what the mama say, right? So it's important to get inside their head and start having those conversations at an early age about relationships, what love looks like. Again, talking about the do's and the don'ts. I was raised up as a Christian, so I talk about, sexuality. About, I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. And that's what I started to teach my children, because they don't know. The world is going to tell them something else, but it's these types of relationships, and then telling them, how good they are, when they achieve something, not to overdo it, but to make sure that you praise them and acknowledge their accomplishment. This builds their self-esteem. This builds their confidence. They learn who they are based on the feedback that we give them. So if you're not giving any feedback, except when you cuss them out,
that's all they know.
Well, that's all they know. They're not going to feel very good about themselves. So now you got this little boy who's talking about how beautiful you are and how this you are, and now he's doing whatever. Now she's doing whatever he tells her to do. And that's one of the reasons why he's boosting her self-esteem. He makes her feel good. So, but we need to start having those conversations. Self-esteem is something that should start being cultivated at a very young age. Paying attention. And sometimes we get wrapped up in work and all these other duties, and we stop looking at our children. Pay attention to your children. Listen to your children. They are telling you some things, and you be like, "What? What did you say happened?" So, but just taking out the time to have those conversations, and like I said, praising them, acknowledging their voice, giving them options. Don't be so strict to where they feel suffocated. Again, because once they get loose, there they go. Let me do all I can before I get back home. But give them a little room and see how they do.
Mm-hmm.
Then come back again, have another conversation. Tell them what they did wrong, what you didn't like. This is the training. This is building character. So that's my thought.
And I think a lot of that is missed, and I would say even with my generation, I think a lot of that was missed because I was still in that generation where your parents said what you're doing and you just did it. There was not a real, not a very much of a conversation. And it wasn't everybody in my generation because I know I had friends who were very open and able to talk to their parents about different things. My mom was pretty open and stuff. Now my daddy, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. But I could at least go to my mother and say and talk about different things and kind of get her feedback on, what I should or should not do. So much so that I had friends that talked to my mother. And then I noticed that when I got grown and I got married, we got kids. My oldest daughter's friends will come and talk to us. Will come and talk to myself and my husband before they would go talk to their parents sometimes. And I used to question that because I'm going, what do they see in us that makes it so easy for them to sit down and talk to us? And I thought, well, they've been around before when they've heard us talk to our kids. We were not, I think that we did a good job as far as us being first generations trying to do that, of having those conversations and having open-ended discussions. But I think, and I always look back and go, I wish I could have done a lot better. I wish that I hadn't had so much baggage or I hadn't had so much, you carry your own abuse around, you carry so many things in you that it's very hard for you to now open up and talk to your kids about certain things. So it's a work in progress because now I have granddaughters. And now when they get old enough, guess what? I'm their Faye. I'm not a grandmother. Let me rephrase that. When they get old enough, then Faye will have those conversations with them because I want them to always know, regardless of what's going on, that they do have somebody they can come and talk to. And I will try my best not to be. I'm the disciplinary parent, so I'm the no nonsense person. But I'm getting to where, in my age, I'm getting to be a little softer. So they'll be safe talking to me. I won't get them, but I just want them to understand. I don't want them ever walking out into this world thinking they have to bend to what a man wants or anybody else wants because they feel so bad about themselves. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense, and that's what we do. We feel so unwanted, so unloved. We are so desperate just to be loved. And we walk right into the arms of an abusive person just to be, have a boyfriend, to be in a relationship, to have somebody to talk to, but.
My father-in-law did something, it's been some years ago when the oldest daughter was a teenager. I don't know how the conversation started. I don't even know what went on, but he was asking her if she had some money in her pocket, and she told him no. So he went in his pocket and he gave her some money. But then he called my husband and was fussing. He was like, look, that girl always have money in her pocket because if she don't have money in her pocket, then some of these little knuckleheads come along and they'll try to waste money in her face, then she'll go for it. And I was like, now, first of all, I was offended, but then I had to think about it. He was telling the truth. And in his own little popo way, he was just trying to let her, he was trying to teach her also have some value about herself. That don't go out there and let somebody trick you just because they got something that you want or lead you off. And I got it, but on the front side of it, as a parent, how dare he say so and so? You know how we do sometimes. But both of us was like, you know what? He got a point. He has a point. It was weird how he did it, but he had a point.
Yeah.
You think about, I used to watch Lifetime movies all the time, and of course they have all these the so and so story, abuse, blah blah blah. Everything got a whatever 2-part topic to it or whatever. So you see these movies of these girls, and we're going back to teenage, the dating part of it. Because I know somebody listening, watching has teenage girls, and this might be a way for them to start a conversation. But a lot of what I saw is exactly what you said about him twisting your wrist. One particular movie, the guy ends up, and I'll just tell you the end of it, then tell you that part. But the guy ends up killing the girl's family. Couldn't get to her, so he ended up shooting her mom and her dad. Well, all because he played that whole, if you leave me, I'll kill myself.
Yeah.
If you're not with me, I told my daughters, I tell my friends, if a man tell you, if I can't have you, nobody else will, run. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. That I don't play with that. Don't ever. I've never had anybody tell me that. And I've been married 31 years, and he better not say it now. But when somebody tells you something like that, you move. You don't stick around telling girl, he must really love me. No, he gonna kill you. Not many people end up dead because they didn't. You. The red flags were all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
You stay, no ma'am, no sir. If he start talking about if I can't have you, nobody will. You sure right, Pop, because I'm gone. You ain't gonna have me. No, that's something I heard.
Cut this off.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So let's go ahead and just cut that on off then. Don't end it right now.
That's all. I heard somebody say that before.
I
the
know,
person stayed, and then there was an attempt.
Yeah, that's what happened to me.
No.
When I was 14, the guy, he would tell me that I was strangled to sleep. He pistol whipped me. He used to take me to graveyards and tell me that I guess that's where he was going to put me, so he would know that where I was at all times.
Oh wow!
And when I tried to leave, that's where he got really violent, where he was stalking me, and I was just 14. I was a freshman in high school, and he would stalk me when I get off the bus, and say, if you run, I'm gonna shoot you in your back.
Wow.
And I remember I tried to get away,
and
he would call and say, it ain't over till I say it's over. He's just 17, and he ended up shooting up my mother's house. He shot up her house, and he called and told me he was gonna do it, and so I left. They didn't leave. I left, and I went and stayed with a friend, and he saw me at a convenience store a couple of days later, and started to chase me and this girl, and anyway, threatened to break out her window. So I ended up getting out the car, and pretty much that was kidnapping. And we just happened to get pulled over that night by the police. It was just by the grace of God, because he was about to take me to another city to be with him. And he had 2 guns in the car. So he went to jail. And I told the police once they arrested him that he had shot up my mother's house. And they went by her house and looked at the bullet holes in her house. And so he was arrested for aggravated assault and aggravated kidnapping. And he got 45 years.
Yeah, how many? 45?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was only 17.
So now, I'm going to ask the question that probably everybody else want to know. Where were his parents? I know it's probably a strange question,
I didn't see his dad, but his mother, he was like a dope dealer. Everybody liked him. He was very good looking, probably paid all everybody's bills. And they knew, because I remember his sister, when I would go somewhere with his sister, matter of fact, we went to go get something to eat. And I think he was asleep or something when we left. So once we got back, we heard gunshots. And, you stop and look around to see where the shots are coming from. So, which way to run. And we saw him leaning out the bedroom window with a gunshot. He was shooting at me. Like, I can't get in the house if you shoot at me. And his parents were there. People know he was crazy. He needed some help. A bully, a drug dealer. So they knew, but nobody would go against him. They wouldn't do that. But I didn't see a father figure. But yeah.
That is interesting. So now I know folks that if you just tune in, they're going, no, wait a minute. What does that got to do with the topic? I'll tell you, that has a whole lot to do with the topic, because all of it is still about self-esteem. It's about some of the things that we allow, because sometimes things are forced on you. And in your situation, a lot of things were forced on you. But there's also a limit or a place where we allow folks to tear us down, or we allow people to tap away at our self-esteem. So if you're wondering what this has to do with anything, that's what it has to do with it, is that all of it still plays back to your self-esteem. Now, that's not an excuse or a reason for somebody to mistreat you, but we know that people target somebody that technically has low self-esteem on the front end. And if they don't, they can they can actually get you to a place where it is lower. So you do accept certain things as being normal. So talk about the new book. Talk about the new book is Mastering Self-Esteem. So, and talk about how that one came about and some of the things that you're trying to get over in that one.
Well, the Mastering Self-Esteem Life by Design is actually a coaching course that I created for women. Again, the women who are searching on how do I feel good about myself, right? So a lot of great questions, a lot of great information on self-esteem, what it looks like, what it is. Low self-esteem, what does that look like? Because a lot of times you don't even know my self-esteem is low. I don't feel good about myself. Talking about your beliefs, your personal beliefs, your values. A lot of times, like I said, if you've been through any type of trauma, abuse, we create these beliefs about ourselves that stick with us all through our childhood, teenage years, through our adult years that we need to get rid of. And because it keeps you in this cycle of, choosing toxic friends and relationships. We talk about accountability. Again, we want to blame the abuser. We want to blame the other person. But we also chose to be in that relationship. So we need to hold ourselves accountable for participating. We're talking about acceptance, accepting all the things that you have experienced, accepting who you are as a person. Not saying that you can't change or improve those things, but we need to look at ourselves as a whole, flaws and all, and accept who we are. This is about boosting and improving your self-esteem. We're talking about awareness. You're not even aware of the self-talk, the negative self-talk that you tell your own self because of what you've gone through or your parenting or your environment. We go through that. We talk about boundaries, being assertive, telling people what you want and need, telling people no, which is the number one thing, and the different ways you can say no without even saying no. So it's a practice. It's a practice. We're talking about integrity, what that looks like. We're talking about intentions, right? Setting goals, creating a life by design, meaning that what you've gone through in your past, you no longer have to go through that. You can really create a life that you want. It's not just something that's happening to you. You can actually, outlining what do I want to experience in life and set the right intentions, and voila. So if you're looking for change, if you want to feel good about yourself, and most importantly, if you want to get to know who you are. So a lot of times we don't even know who we are. We don't know our value. Again, that's why we settle for these toxic, abusive relationships. But once you know your value, once you put in the work, once you get your healing, you're not going to tolerate that. You're not going to participate in that toxicity. I can't even talk. You're not going to even participate in any toxic relationship anymore because it's not going to be worth your time, your effort, and your energy. So
I think you hit on a big one on the accountability, because we teach people how to treat us. And if we allow certain things, if you allow somebody to scream and yell and curse at you every day, guess what? They're going to keep screaming, yelling, and cursing at you every day. You allow somebody to hit. Now, if you're the, I don't want to say the weaker person, you can be hit without allowing it. I mean, nobody wants to get hit, but there's still certain behaviors. There's red flags. I mean, I'm trying to remember what was that thing I told somebody about red flags not too long ago. Basically, people show you who they are all the time.
They do. They do. If it's not directly at you, maybe they're cussing out their friend or the waitress, but they're showing you who they really are.
Yeah. if people are rude, now that's something I've never encountered my husband doing that, but I've seen people when we're out. Oh, I'll give you an example. I remember just thought about one. When I had my insurance office, I would have couples come in, and this one particular couple came in one day, and I would say probably about 30s, 40s. I think they were around in our age range, and she was walking behind him. Now, at first, I didn't think anything of it because it was a small space and they couldn't necessarily walk side by side. But then I noticed that when he sat in front of me at my desk, he didn't pull her chair out. He just sort of, he literally motioned like, sit down. And he sat down and he scooted all the way up to my desk. She sat off to the side behind him. And it kind of got me on like, what? Why is she sitting? But you know, wasn't my business. We talking about insurance. So we started talking, and I started asking questions, and I could tell she wanted to answer me, but she every time she wanted to talk, she would look at him, and he would put his eyes back at her, and I'm going, okay, I don't know what's going on, but I don't like it. So he was trying to be aggressive with me. I'm a nice person. Anybody that is me, I'm a nice person. But I got buttons. And he was pushing all of the wrong ones. And I'd ask another question, and she'd look at him, and he'd give her the shut up look, and she wouldn't say anything. And about the third question, I was like, you know what? I got to do something to him. It's like I felt like I needed to get him for her. So he said something, of course, after then when I figured out he's abusive towards women, period. Now, you walked in my office. My name is on that door. So you in my business. But you're going to come in. Because he basically was wondering, well, this is what you're going to do. And you're going to do this. You're going to do that. And I'm like, the other side of me, everybody knows Wonder. Wonder is a nice person. But most people don't know Wanda. So Wanda came out. And Wanda had to let him understand, first and foremost, you don't come in my office talking to me like that. I'm not her. So let's get that clear real quick. Second of all, you don't put your hands on my desk and beat on it and tell me what I'm going to do. That's not going to work. So we had a heart to heart. At the corner of my eye, I see her back there like this. Like, yeah, get him. How do you put up with that? But then the fear of that was, what is he going to do to her when he gets her outside?
Oh, yeah.
That was like the next thing that came to my mind. I might have made him angry. What if he goes outside and he takes it out on her? So that scared me because I didn't know them and I couldn't, just randomly call and check on her. But that was just one of those instances where I'm going, look, if you're abusive, trying to be aggressive and abusive with me and you don't know me, you might get her pure hell at home.
Oh, yeah.
And she looks like she catches pure hell. So it's those little subtle things that most people would call subtle. That if you're acting that rudely and that aggressive with a woman you don't know, how do you treat the one you do know?
Oh, yeah.
So I know it's a weird example, but that was the one that came to mind because I've been seeing that happen. And it's happened a couple of different times where I've literally had to just be very aggressive back for him to understand I'm not her.
Right.
So you can't push me the same way, you push her or she allows you to treat her. But hey, we live in a strange world with a lot of strange people that do a lot of strange stuff.
You're right about that. Right about that.
So let me ask you, I think we got about 7 minutes. Make sure it's the last couple of questions. What do you want women to learn from your books and your experiences?
From my experiences is that life is about choices and decisions, right? Even though those things happened, you don't have to stay stuck in that same story. You can create a new story, right? Yeah. But it's about you deciding, okay, I no longer want to live this way and taking the next step to make those changes. That's it. It's real simple.
but you have to make the choice yourself.
Yep.
You are the one that create the change. I just walk you
Mhm.
through the process.
That's
So
it.
that's pretty much
Yeah.
it. One.
Honey, that's a good one. I mean, whatever you make your choices. And we do. We have to understand the accountability piece, which you said earlier, and then we do have to own up to our choices. We didn't walk into the most of this stuff blindly. Sometimes we ignored 17 red flags. Somebody I was talking to one night, I was like, that is red flag number 734. I mean,
Okay.
how many red flags do
Like,
you
how
need?
many more do you need
Yeah.
before you run?
Exactly. So, but I appreciate you so much. I was trying to see. Oh, how can folks get in contact with you if they want to schedule coaching or they want to purchase a book or book you for a speaking engagement?
They can go over to my website at www.coachingbycamesha.com. All the information is on pretty much the first page. If you want to schedule, the first session is free. I do offer a complimentary session to get to know you. I do have several different packages and programs, so to see what's a good fit for you. So again, you can book a coaching session. You can schedule me for an interview, for speaking engagements on my website. I have it all laid out right there for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and talk about your other books. I know we talked about, I said something about the first one, the Pretty On, Pretty Off in your bio. And then we just talked about the Mastering Self Esteem. Talk about your other books just briefly, real quick.
So the very first book that I published was the He Loves Me Not, Buried Tears of Betrayed Love. It talks about my story, the mindset, just walking you through the journey of, the child molestation, the teen dating violence. I talk about that. I talk about the domestic violence in my adult years, and just how the pattern just kept repeating itself, and it wasn't until, again, I gained some type of awareness that, okay, this needs to stop. And I also talk about what I did to heal. So I give some techniques on how to start that healing journey right at home. The books are only like $13, $15, so you can purchase that book. That was the first book. The Pretty On, Pretty Off is a remake of the first book, but because of the title of the first one, I didn't want anyone to feel ashamed or threatened. If somebody saw that book, because basically because of the title, you can tell what it's about.
Okay.
So I kind of made it indiscreet about what this is really about, but I was at a different point in my life. It had some really great golden nuggets because there was a lot more healing in that second book. So, but the same stories, different contexts. And I also have the Mastering Self Esteem, the 5 steps to move from suffering to contentment, which is like a coaching journal, walking you through your pain right from your home. You don't have to go out or to a counselor or to a coach. You can start the process right at home.
Okay. All right. Well, you all make sure that you go out to her page and check out her books and buy. I'm not going to look, you're not a struggling author, but you're an author. So you write books for people to buy. So make sure you all go out to her page and that you get those books and book her for speaking engagements, book her for counseling sessions if you need them. So, and I'm going to be honest with you, we probably all need to go talk to somebody about something. So everybody's got some things that we're trying to work through and get better at. Thank you again. I appreciate you joining. And tell folks when you're from Dallas. Are you in Dallas?
Yes, Dallas, Texas.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure y'all storming down and storming up here. So, but you be safe and I appreciate you. Y'all, we apologize for all the technical difficulties earlier. I don't know what the noise coming from somewhere. I don't know what it is.
It's starting to act up. So we made it to the end.
Okay. Yep, we got exactly. We got 50 seconds, so we good. We made it. We made it to our hour, and I hope that you all got some information that's going to be beneficial to you. You can always go back and watch the replay of the video. If you'll check it out on the Lady Sounds Wonder Lowe on Facebook, it's also on Instagram, and we're also on YouTube. So the storm is apparently attacking and we're cracking up. So I'm gonna let everybody go. Appreciate you again so much, Kimesha. God bless. You be safe and take care. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I think it was static. You probably didn't hear me. Uh-oh. Bye. All right, y'all. I was so glad that she was able to jump back on because at the beginning of the show, that it's storming in Dallas, Texas, where she is right now. And like I said, I don't know which hurricane this is that we're fighting, but it's also storming a little bit here. You all be safe the rest of the night. Thank you all for tuning in for another episode of the Lady Sound to Wonder Lowe. I'm your host. I will see you next Tuesday. And next Tuesday, ladies, let me make sure I say this quickly. Get your glass of wine, get your glass of water, get your glass of tea, whatever beverage you like to sip on while you're watching live videos, and tune in because we're going to have girl talk. We're just going to check in on each other. We're going to have a sister check in. I'll have a few of the friends on, and we're just going to talk about what it feels like to be living through this time right now in the pandemic and to be dealing with all the things that we're dealing with. So make sure that you tune in again next week, next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. right here. Again, thanks for watching. This is Wonder Lowe, and this is the latest sound, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.